Okay guys, let's go ahead and get into this. It's been a weird day for me. If you hear meowing in the background, Pecky is in his cozy little room that I shut him in when I can't watch him constantly because on account of he has balls and has testosterone still and absolutely can't even with himself. He tends to get into things, so if I can't directly watch him, I just put him in an office. He has food, he has water, he has everything he needs. He's just a whiny little bitch sometimes. We are playing around with the Saint and Sinner palette today. Well, again today, because I've used this a couple of times now. It's pretty good, pretty good. The color selection is a little bit weird for me. And at first, when I first got it, I was like, what on earth am I gonna do with this? I'm going to take the shade Martyr here, which is pretty much one of the only transition shades in the palette, to be honest. It's like a warm, very warm, sort of mustardy brown color. I'm gonna stick this in the crease. I'm not gonna build this up too terrible much, because it can clash with the other colors that I'm using if you're not careful. So we're just gonna keep this really, really faint, and it's gonna help blend other colors that happen. Take a Real Techniques base shadow brush, and I'm gonna go into Crucifix, which is a very deep brown, kind of a neutral cool tone brown. A little bit of a rosiness to it. Quite pigmented, this one, so be careful. And I'm going to work this on the outer corner of the eye, right like that. And we're going to fluff that into the outer corner, working up into the crease on that side, just to give some darkness. We're going to put a color over this, so I'm not terribly worried if it's super pigmented. And then I'm going to take a no-name flat brush, and I'm going to go into Rosary, which is on the bottom row here, so it's going to be hard to point out that guy right there. Beautiful sort of berry wine color with some shimmer. I'm going to take that on a flat brush. This shade is gorgeous. And I'm going to put that over the brown in the outer corner, and you can see it sort of takes on the darkness of the brown, but the warmth of the wine shade sort of neutralizes it, so it's not as gray. Takes on a little bit more of a purpley tone, which I really like. Halfway across the eye, really, really pretty color. I do like that a lot, actually. I'm gonna go in on the other half of the lid with Sacred Heart, this sort of peachy color up here. This one is okay. It was looking a little bit patchy. It could be the brush I'm using, and it does kick up a little bit of powder in the pan, but I haven't really experienced a ton of fallout with this one. Just putting it on the other half of the lid here and working over into the middle. I will say Rosary and Sacred Heart are both on the Saint side of the palette, and they make sense together. You know, they blend beautifully into one another. They create this very warm sort of fall wine eye. I don't know what bothers me about Sacred Heart. I feel like I was expecting a little bit more sheen from it. It's got some sheen, but it kind of looks matte on the eyes, doesn't it? It's got a weird texture, I don't know. It's not bad, but it's just not what I was expecting, that's all. I'm gonna take our Sonia Kashuk 109 that we used the transition shade with before, and we're just gonna blend and fluff those edges outward, so we don't have any harsh lines, no harsh edges. Make sure your lid is blended, obviously. And then for the lower lash line, I'm taking Rosary on the very top of my flat brush here. I love this trick. And then I'm just gonna run it on the outside edge of the lower lash line, connecting it with the top. And then I'm gonna take our Sacred Heart shade and pop that on the inside edge. This is gonna make your eyes look a little bit sickly, but I sort of like that, so I'm gonna take the angled brush that had my brow pomade on it, because one, I don't feel like washing brushes, and two, the brow pomade sort of acts as like a tacky base of sorts for the shadow. And I'm gonna dip into Crucifix, that really deep dark brown, and I'm just gonna go on the very, very outside edge of the lower lash line and just run that a little bit. This is going to help alleviate that sickly look by giving that reddish plum color a jumping off point. And then I'm going to take that same crucifix color and I'm going to use it as liner. So this brush had my pomade on it, so it's a little bit sort of damp or tacky, and that's going to provide the perfect glue to turn this shadow into a liner. And I'm just taking crucifix across the upper lash line to create sort of a smoky liner. It's not terribly defined, just enough to give the shadows a jumping off point. That's about it for the shadow for this look. Again, really sort of simple, understated-ish shadow, but I do have human being things to do today, so I didn't want to do anything too terribly crazy, and I wanted to sort of play around with this palette in terms of more, I hate this word, wearable looks. Because a lot of the time, you know, you see Kat Von D's palettes and you look at tutorials of them and they're like, you know, crazy rainbow eye makeups and, you know, lots of color, lots of intensity, which is great, and I love that makeup. It's my favorite kind of makeup to do, but realistically, most makeup consumers are not going to be doing that kind of makeup with these palettes. So they're going to be looking for videos of ways to use these really interesting, colorful, crazy palettes in a way that would be appropriate for sort of day-to-day wear. Liner, lashes, and mascara. I'm not really gonna add much more liner than this unless I have to. We'll see how the false lash application goes. If my false lashes don't cooperate, sometimes I have to put liner over the top of them to hide the band, but it is what it is. I'm not going to do that if I can help it. For mascara, lately I've been using the L'Oreal Telescopic Carbon Black. I'm trying to use this up. It's a really good mascara in terms of drugstore, in terms of if you're looking for lengthening. I'm not a big volumizing mascara person because my eyelashes are already pretty full and thick. They're just short, so this is perfect for me. But my holy grail mascara is the YSL The Shock mascara, which I ran out of, and then I bought the Ardell Wispies mascara, which I'm not a fan of. It smudges on me, so I'm using this one for now until I can repurchase my other one, my holy grail. Liner, yeah, like I said, I'm not really gonna do much. And then lashes, I'm gonna probably toss on some Ardell 105s because they're what I have on hand and they're nice and long, and just the perfect little accent lash to add length without necessarily too much volume. So I'm gonna do all that, I'm gonna put my foundation on, and then I'll come back to finish the face for you guys. Okay guys, I'm back. Complexion is on. It's looking a little bit textured. I don't really know why. I've been trying and trying and trying for probably forever. If you guys are have been a member of the faithful for any length of time, you've seen me try to make the Kogendo Aqua foundation work. This time I mixed it with a little bit of the Smashbox StudioSkin to try and get a little more coverage and a little more cling power. I don't think they mix badly together per se, but it wasn't really mind-blowing. I did that for bronzer. I used the Kat Von D Shade and Light contour palette. Most specifically, this shade in the middle here is like the bronzer of choice for me lately. For blush, I use the Physicians Formula Butter Blush in the shade Vintage Rouge. I think it's a perfect complement to sort of the peachy tone in the eyes. And for highlight, I use the Balm Mary Luminizer because you really can't go wrong with Mary Lou. Now that all that is on, let's talk lips. You can really do kind of whatever with this. You could do a dark lip, you could do a nude lip. Personally, I think if you're gonna go nude, where is it? There it is. The Sephora Cream Lip Stain in the shade 41, which I believe is Vintage Rosewood, is this shade, would look really, really pretty with this look. If you wanted to go on the more extreme side, you could do No Tea, No Shade by Jeffree Star. That would be a really cool color. Wouldn't exactly match, it wouldn't be like a monochromatic look, but it would complement the rosary tone in the eyes very well. So you could do that as well. It's really up to you, or you could do black like I typically do, but not doing black today. That's my goal. Not doing black, because I do black all the time. It's a total cop-out for me. First, let's go ahead and try Vintage Rosewood. I don't hate it, but it's not as peachy orangey as I was expecting. It's not bad. It's just kind of like, meh, you know, a little boring. So let's go ahead and try Jeffree Star's No Tea, No Shade. This is cool, but I feel like it's missing something. I'm gonna take the shade Worship, which is right here, this like true purple color, quite dark. And I'm gonna add that to the outer edges here a little bit, just to bring a little more purple to the party. Okay, I actually like that a lot. This is my finished look. I am loving how this came out. It's a little bit more intense than I originally intended it to be, but that's okay. That's just sort of what I gravitate toward anyway. I do think the eyes are very nice. I'm not usually one to use a whole lot of like pinks and peach colors, so it was interesting to sort of step out of my comfort zone a little bit and do something a little more on the pedestrian side of things. And then of course adding the metallic lip just sort of made everything very on trend right now, because metallics are huge for fall. Without further ado, the thing I always forget to do, let's do some awkward posing. Awkward posing, looking down, looking forward, looking fierce. That's about it for me today, guys. I hope you found this video helpful, informative, or entertaining. If you did, there's a button for that. Spank that like button in the butt. You know it deserves it. And if you want to see more from me, you got a couple options now. You can click the videos on either side of my head to binge if you're bored or bummed out, or hey, you can hit that button that looks like my face and subscribe and become a member of the faithful today. I put out new videos every Sunday. Thank you guys so much for watching and joining me today, and I will see you in the next video. Toodles!